Hey guys, give it up one more time for Mike and Noel Leventovich. I am telling you guys, you want to go on trips with these two. You want to go on trips with these two. It's fun watching them pick on Joe and Tina Dukes and stuff like that, but Shar and I had a blast with them in St. Martin. They are definitely a couple to follow, blessing in our lives and stuff. I have the pleasure again of bringing up my mentor in this business. Patrick has done so much for us. Just some of the stuff that we talk about, of like, we want to go golfing and we want to do this, and we've gone to a crew game before, but it's very, very low timing that we do that now, because we're spending so much time in this business, just like Mike and Noel talked about it, where we're at alignment with this company right now, that we are just getting crazy with going out there and talking to people and getting people on board. I mean, Ken and Patty, Ken's driving all over the place, Patty, but but the organization that's going on because of that is what's happening. And that's why you see it, we're duplicating what Alex is doing right now. And one of the things that I love Patrick for is he allowed me to get in his car for so many times to be able to kind of understand his thought process and to be able to just listen to what he does. So guys, I want you to bring, get on your feet, make some loud noise for my mentor in this business, Patrick Connors.
All right, guys, let's have some fun. No more of that pressure stuff like before. Still, though, Jennifer sent me a list. Do you remember how many it was? I think she said, Jenny said we have 34 people, 34 of you committed to go to the national conference today, which is huge. And she's got an updated list of where that puts us on the NAA ranking. Because when you see the ABN team, that's your team, right? What is it?
Alex is at 83 tickets, and Paul Roberts is at 95.
Oh, okay. Paul was 3. I think Paul was 3, but we passed Wismakis, we passed Mike, and so we're right now, ABN team is 4th, 12 people behind Paul Roberts. Okay, cool. Thank you, Jenna.
And Art Leeser's number 2.
Art Leeser's number 2. Okay, woohoo! We're going to get him, man. You guys are awesome. Okay. Boy, that was a very successful talk that we just listened to. Aren't you proud to be in business with a guy like that? Seriously, all the stuff he was telling you. If you took his advice right there, you could apply it to a number of different things in your life and that could move you forward. I'm going to tell you guys some personal stories. You know how sometimes you get on stage and it's cool when people share with you some things they've been through because it makes you feel good. It's like misery loves company. Some stuff you don't want them to say. Just that's private. Just leave that alone. I'm not going to touch any of that stuff, and you probably shouldn't either. Although in the book that Alex is reading and he's recommending to a few guys on his team, there's this phenomenon of people confessing all their problems on Facebook. I didn't know this was a thing, so I don't dig into that stuff, but if you're one of those people and you're like confessing all your private details, please take me off your friends list. I don't want to have that's for between you and someone else. But some of the stuff I'm going to share, I hope you find humor in it. Who was raised, really poor? You consider it financially. You were raised poor financially. It's hard to get you to raise your hands after Andy's talk last night. But, I just remember, one of my siblings, I don't remember which one it was, she had fun playing in the toilet. That was, her fun thing to do. I remember we would come up the stairs, and the bathroom was right, you go up the stairs, you turn, and then, so as you were coming up the second flight, your head would get higher, and as soon as you could see over the floor, you would see into the latrine was my sister standing in the toilet splashing away. And that happened 5 or 6 times before my parents could break her of that habit. That's growing up poor, man, when you play in the toilet for fun, Did any of your parents make you go out and play in the street? Go out and play in the street. Okay, got a couple more. That's because they didn't have other things for us to do, We were poor. So, but being poor is not always fun. You can make any situation cool. We had a missionary from, pretty sure it was Peru, came and talked to us, and she described really the horrific conditions that a lot of those people were living in, and yet spent a lot of time, the majority of her talk, sharing with us the joy that those people experienced too, and shared with her. It's whatever you're going through in life financially, you can still have fun, you can still keep your attitude positive. But some things we really shouldn't have to go through, It's like, and we don't have to, because we have this business to make money. And I remember even before this business, we had one car, and we totaled it. And even there were a bunch of weird blessings. Like we were going over a cliff, and a tree stopped us. Like we ran into the cliff, and the tree stopped the car from going down the cliff. And my wife was lying down in the back seat sleeping. We were coming back from a meeting. I was with Alex at a meeting. And she was not wearing her seatbelt. Thank God the baby wasn't with us. We were going to pick up the baby. But she wasn't wearing her seatbelt. And we, slammed into the tree, and the airbag went off. I got cracked ribs or something. I don't remember. I still have some scars. It's kind of cool. And I like to wear that shirt that I was wearing when it happened, because it reminds me of this. She didn't fall off the seat. How's that possible? The airbag went off. I banged my head into the windshield. Yet she's like, I'm like, honey, wake up. She didn't even fall off the seat. Where's the engineers in here? How's that possible? We get out of the car and we're walking through the snow. I don't know, it was the middle of nowhere. It's like a 20-minute walk through the mountains in Pennsylvania, 20-mile walk. But someone came by, the road was closed. The cops had closed the road. I didn't know that. But someone else didn't know that either, and just drove by and picked us up. So it worked out okay, but we didn't have a car for several months. Do you know why we didn't have a car? Anybody want to take a guess? Right. You guys all got it. I was broke. Okay? And I had insurance, but I was upside down on the loan. Anybody ever been upside down on the loan? These aren't bad. These are not the kind of things you can't admit, okay? So you can nod if you want to. I was upside down, and it took me a while to find someone named Guido who would loan me a loan at 80% interest. It took a while. Alex was with me the whole step of the way, laughing at me inside and encouraging me on the outside. And then there was a time when we left the military, which came with free housing, and moved to the civilian world, which does not come with free housing, as I then discovered. So I asked Paul Hara, the guy who hired Kyle, if I could just room with him for, you see how that sounds so light? Just room with him for a little bit. Except what I was saying was, can I move my wife, who's 8 months pregnant, and my 2 toddler sons into your 1-bedroom condo with you and your brand new wife, and meet you at your house when you come back from your honeymoon? And that lasted for a month. I think more than a month. And we're still friends. That's the best part of the whole story, I saw some people were like right on the edge of the seat, and they went, whew, like LaDonna did that. Whew. So why did that happen? Because I was broke. I'm smiling, right? But I wasn't smiling at the time. Oh, we just want to get reacquainted with our college buddies or something. Come on, me, you, and Dupree. So there was a time, now this was after I was wildly successful, when I was feeding daiquiris to Emily. Real daiquiris. You got to get around the mess that story one time. Anyway, I would, and probably the reason why it happened was because I didn't have my wife with me to protect me from that incident. And where was my wife? I was on an all-expense-paid trip for one to the Grand Cayman Islands. All I had to do was pay the extra amount for my wife. The hotel was already paid for, so I just had to fly her there. That's it. Food would have been covered. See, they earned all-expense-paid trip for 2. I didn't earn the second part. I didn't really even earn the first part, but Alex got me the trip. So imagine telling your wife, whom you love, hey, I'm going to go on this free trip down to the Grand Cayman Islands. White sands, crystal blue water. I'm not taking you, by the way, because I can't afford to. Why did that happen? Because I was broke. This was after, remember, I had earned the trip. I don't think RBC would ever do anything like a perk trip for one, would they?
No,
never. That would just be evil. We don't work with that carrier anymore. We dumped him right after that event. You don't qualify.
Susie got him.
Yeah, Susie wrung him by the necks. I remember one time Alex invited me to a very special meeting in Chatola Resort in North Carolina. Asheville? Chatola's in Boone. So we were in Boone?
Yeah, right by Appalachian State.
Okay. Anyway, it was out in the boonies. It was in the mountains. It was near the Biltmore somewhere near the Biltmore. But it's just, anyway, it's this beautiful, beautiful place. And to qualify, you had to be like an Eagle or something like that, you know. And I qualified to go. But it was pay your own way, Amanda. So, I squeaked together enough pennies, we put names of the kids in the hat and who's not going to eat this week so Daddy can go. How do you think we keep our... Anyway, so we get down there and there was this special golfing event with, Art Leeser, Andy Albright, Alex Abuyuan. But I couldn't afford to go out on the golf course with them because I was that broke. So I asked if I could drive the cart. Could I drive the cart, please? And they let me. So that's how I got to participate. I couldn't swing at any of the balls, but they didn't make me feel like dirt. They made me feel special. But why did that happen? Because I was broke. It's just money. But golly, I remember, now, that's not really a bad time because, I got to hang around Alex and Andy and Art, so it was cool with me. I didn't even notice, pretty much. Didn't even notice that I wasn't golfing. That would have just been silly anyway because I can't golf. But I remember, now this one really got me. One year, you know how Christmas trees are $100 at the beginning of the Christmas tree selling season? And then what happens as you get closer to Christmas? Yeah, two things happen that I've noticed. Anna, one thing is the cost of the trees goes down. Does that happen in Florida too? It's weird, the cost of the tree goes down. The other thing I noticed is that they start to look more like Charlie Brown trees. Have you noticed that too? But every year, Jenny, we would go to, if you remember, right by the corner of McEwen and I think it's McEwen and Washington Centerville Road, where there's a restaurant that keeps changing every 6 months. You just can't stay in business. And I don't know what club it was, but they put out trees there. And as you got close, 2 or 3 days before Christmas, they didn't even staff the place. It was like, here's a box, put money in it if you want to take one of these trees away. And we came up and it said, someone had crossed out and said, all the trees are now free. It was like the last day before Christmas. So that's what we did for like the next 2 or 3 years. But one year, I couldn't afford a free tree, man. I was so broke, by the time we got there were no free trees left. And I couldn't afford a Christmas tree anywhere. I've got like 3 kids or something. How do you have Christmas without a Christmas tree, Mike? So we got some brown paper box that we found behind some store, and we cut out the shape of a Christmas tree, all the kids together, and we painted it green, and we made a Christmas tree and put it up. Can you believe that? And imagine what the presents were like under that tree that year. And why did that happen, Tamika? Broke as a joke, man. Oh, God, I'm crying just thinking about how broke we were. Whew. Man. Have you guys never had any problems like that? They have got problems. I know. We're going to find some of them someday, Justin. They've got them. No, we just joke. We're just having fun. Man, I was broke. Okay, then it started getting serious. You're like, but Patrick, why are you telling me that I should be in this business with you when you can get broke? Guys, it's not the business that caused me to be broke. Alex would tell me what to do. I would not do it. And then that pattern would continue for months and months and months. And then eventually... You know what I'm saying? Remember the part about throwing myself onto grenades to protect the rest of you? Yeah. And some of you in my group are like, yeah, you haven't learned. Because you're like, still, you'll hear them say things and teach, and you're like, but why doesn't Patrick do that? I know. Okay. I'm just there for you, man. I'm just thinking about you. Oh, man, but it really got bad. When I left that last job that I had, where Alex and Noel were both working, I had made money before I left, $7,500 in 5 weeks, before I left. Actual money hit my account, not on the commission statement before they took out the lead cost. Actual cash. Okay. Quit the job. Quit working. What happened after that? Broke. And I procrastinated getting health insurance right after we left. And I had health insurance at that time for Reagan, who's got all kinds of significant health challenges. And I had 6 months or 3 months or whatever COBRA was at the time, and I procrastinated. And by the time I said, okay, it's been 4 months, I've only got 2 months left, I'll start early and get it knocked out, I was broke. I didn't have any money. So that cost me tens of thousands of dollars. Probably over $100,000 so far. Okay, now actually we got it fixed, but total, that period of time was like $100,000 or more. And why? I mean, did I do that because that was good planning, because I wanted to? No, man, I was broke. And I'm not going to ask you if you've ever gone without health insurance. Or, excuse me, auto insurance. I could ask health insurance too, but Robin, let me just tell you, it is not comfortable to be without auto insurance. But you got a choice. Okay, put food on the table or get auto insurance. So what are you going to do? Well, go sell some more policies. Right. I understand. You guys are all great. You all make the right decision all the time. But I, on the other hand, didn't. So I had a choice. And I chose not to get auto insurance. And do you know how scary it is to drive around with... I know you guys don't know, but does anybody know what it's like to... Man, that's scary. You're like driving like 5 miles an hour. Every cop you pass, Tim, you're freaked out. I'm not proud of this moment, but I'm just letting you know, if you're sitting out there and you're thinking, man, I can't even afford to buy a book that I want to buy. Believe me, I feel your pain. Okay? Could he continue? Does he actually have more? Oh, yeah. I've got another one. This one's crazy. One time, when I was on one of my peaks making a lot of money, it was actually near the beginning of the business, but after the first peak, then valley, it was in another peak, we moved into our own place. I mean, it was not our own place. We were squeezed in the middle of a unit of 6 apartments, togetherments, right in the middle of 6 units. And it was, I mean, for our family, it was great at the time. I mean, my wife was like, oh, this is great. Mostly because we're not staying at Paul's house, but nothing is Paul. She felt guilty the whole time. But we moved in. Everybody helped. Thank you. And pretty soon thereafter, I couldn't make my rent. Okay, because I was broke, Brad. And broke-minded really was the challenge. Okay, so what do you do when you don't have money for rent? Some of you in this audience, this is not that big a crowd. We're going to get it big, but right now it's about 150 in here. I know there's somebody in here who has not been able to pay rent. And you can admit it or not, it's fine with me, it doesn't matter. I'm just telling you, it is the most uncomfortable feeling. So you're having fun doing anything, Tracy. Alex calls you, or you're cutting up with Mike. You know, you're laughing, and the phone rings. And you're laughing, the smile's still on your face, and you look, and it's the number of your landlord. In my case, I mean, I had his name right in there. Oh my gosh. You know, like at that exact moment. And if you're around your friends, you're trying on the outside to project everything's cool. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Elise, it is the worst feeling. And I don't know what happened. Really, I cannot even remember this. And if you know me very well, you know I can't remember a lot of stuff, right? Does anybody know that about me? But I'll tell you what, man, I have forgotten how this happened. But he didn't throw me out. And, I mean, I remember his name. I say prayers for this guy. He didn't throw me out. And the next month, I also couldn't pay the rent. And some of you, like, I'm looking at Greg, and Greg's thinking, that's the guy I'm taking advice from? He's got one of those faces on his face, like... But it went on, guys. I would pay a little bit here when I could, but then I couldn't again because I was broke, so I was not doing the right stuff, Leon. And it got so bad, he would call, he would email. I mean, one time he showed up at my door. I was eating dinner with my family, and we had a house that went, remember, it was that apartment complex, left to right, 6 units. We had a front door, and a back door, and that's it. You could see from the back door all the way to the front door. So the doorbell rang. I walked up to the door. My whole family's at the kitchen table and can see everything that's going on. And he knocks on the door. I didn't know who it was. Walked up, big smile, opened the door. What was I going to tell him? What was my wife going to say? I don't think my wife knew this. What good was it going to do to tell her? For those of you who are thinking, whoa, you should have a better communicative relationship with your wife. Whoa. I'm telling you the things that I could make sound reasonable, guys. There were other things too, man, that I couldn't afford. Anyway, so I went outside, had a man-to-man talk. I was a great salesman, John. Just didn't apply it where it was profitable, right? Where it would have done some good. 17 months behind on rent. 17 months behind on rent. I counseled with Alex all the time. I counseled with Andy all the time. They all told me what to do. It was very clear. I mean, it wasn't like they were giving me bad advice. I know, it's like a frown on your face, like so many questions going through your mind right now. And mine too. Like, I really don't remember how this happened. But it was 17 months of rent that I owed him. And still, I was on the equivalent of President's Club. And still, I went to every conference. And still, I was buying books. And we had tapes back then. Have you ever heard of tapes? Have you heard of tapes before? I mean, we didn't have a website at the time. I think you did have a website at the time. I think Alex had a website. But NAA did not have a website. Alex put one together that Alex let them use his website for the company, but 17 months. Do you understand? If you've ever, in your mind, just nod, but don't actually nod, but if you've ever been behind on rent or a house payment or something, just imagine every single time my phone rang. Every time my phone rang, I was afraid to look at it. If Alex was calling to invite me over to his house, I was afraid to look to see if it was Alex calling me. If somebody knocked on the door, I was afraid driving down the street if I saw a car that looked like my landlord's car. I would go to conferences just to leave town so I couldn't get around him. I was thankful when my cell phone bill would not be paid and then I would just not have cell phone service. Because that's part and parcel of the whole thing about not paying rent, Golly. Or when the power went out at my house. What I'm saying is, if you've ever been broke or if you're trying to tell me that you can't afford a book, I understand, okay? The solution is not to give up on your dream. The solution is not to say, well, I'll wait until I'm flush, until I'm square with all my bills. Hey, some of you, I hope you're not experiencing this. I hope you have never experienced this. I hope you never, ever have to be in a situation where you're afraid to look at your telephone, even if it's your wife calling to tell you that she loves you, because, Mike, if you look down and it says Nader, the name of the guy who owned my building, what was I going to do? Answer it or not answer it? It still keeps ringing. What do I do? If I answer it, am I going to tell the truth? Am I going to lie? What am I going to do? I hope you never have to experience that. I'm just saying, if you ever have been or go through a situation like that, don't give up. Don't quit. It was not NAA that put me in that situation. I was way in that situation before I joined NAA. Way in that situation. Keep doing what your coach is mentoring you to do. Keep pumping the good stuff in your brain. Especially in those moments, you should be pumping the good stuff in your brain. If you're in the car, rip out the satellite phone. If you've got cable, turn it off. If it hasn't already been turned off for you. Yes? In case you're wondering. Thank you for laughing next to me. Keep reading. Keep keep getting with your mentor. Keep getting with your upline. Why? Because that is the solution. And do you know what a good feeling it was to be able to go to his house and give him a check for 5 months of rent payment at one time? Well, why didn't you give him some the previous month? Is it possible that I literally didn't have it 1 month and then had 5 months worth plus all my other expenses that next month? Yes. That's how fast the money can go like this. No joke. Ask anybody who's made over $100,000 in this business. It can go like that so fast, if you're recruiting especially. And then the next month to pay 6 months of rent. And then the next month, whoosh, wipe it out. And for him to write a letter of encouragement to my next place to let me move in there. Mostly because he's like, please, take me. Who said that? You got it. You were right on. You were on. You were on to me, man. He's like, I absolutely, whatever you want me to say, I'll say. I think only Alex and Andy knew about it. Did you guys know about that at the time that I was going through it? And there would have been nobody else I would have told. So it would have, and that's Crossline. Why would I ever mess up their brand with stuff like that? You know what I'm saying? If you're going through a struggle, Tracy, please share it with somebody. Just not anybody crossline or anybody downline, only with your upline. And really, if you can get away with not saying it, try doing it not to your upline too. But if you have to, only with your upline. So, my time's up. But what I'm trying to tell you is, this business can pay you so fast. And if you're broke or struggling, the solution, that you got into that situation because of all the things that accumulated in your brain up until when you joined Jamal, has nothing to do with NAA. But this can get you out of it fast. You guys with me when I say that stuff? You understand? And when you have people in your group who are suffering this, remember me too. Like you might be, well, I'm always clear. I've always paid all my bills. I don't have any challenges. Remember, if I can screw it up that bad and still succeed in this company, that dude or dudette that you're looking at, it could share it. You could be looking at an absolute studette, okay? Hopefully not stud and studette in the same body. But you could be looking at one. Don't give up on them just because they have financial problems. It's just a problem like all other kind of problems, okay? Okay, that's my talk. And if it's okay, can I introduce Alex? Okay. Was somebody else going to do it? We're cool. Guys, it is so nice to know, like, who has worked for a big company before? A big one. Okay. And happy about it, because I said worked.